So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, just to summarize, the first premise was the universe began to exist. And we explained how do we know this, right? Scientifically, this is agreed upon pretty much by everybody, that there was the Big Bang and the singularity from which you had the hot dense expansion and so on and so forth, right? Number two is that everything that begins to exist has a cause. We can agree on this, right? Therefore, the universe also has a cause. The question would be that who caused the universe? Now, does science give us an answer for this? Science does not give an answer. There's different theories. Some people will say this universe comes from another universe. So what would be the question there? Yeah. Where did the other universe come from? Then they'll say that came from another universe. And then the question would be, where did that one come from, right? And now, there's something more interesting that you can say. If somebody tells you this, you can tell them, what proof do you have of the other universe? What proof do you have? Do we have proof that there is another universe? That this universe came from another universe? Do we have proof for it? No. So what is this called? Blind faith. So if they say that you believe in Allah, you believe in God, that's blind faith. So then to believe that there was another universe that this universe came from, this is also blind faith as well. Everyone's following? Everyone understands, right? The idea? Okay. Just a show of hands. Who of you has encountered somebody who either had doubt, a Muslim who had doubts about Islam, or somebody who left Islam? Just raise your hand, just to have a rough idea. Raise your hand higher. Yeah, so there's a decent amount of people, and unfortunately this is something that's growing, and there's a lot of misunderstanding. So today, inshallah, we'll address some of them. Okay, so this is old. We've already covered this in detail. We went over the creation argument, we went over the contingency argument. I'm not going to repeat all of this, okay? Today, this is what we are focusing on. Now, you might have heard the word theological arguments. We're not doing theological. What we're doing is teleological. Teleological just means we're going to focus on the third one here. It's intelligent design arguments. What this means is, I'll just give you an example. If you go to the desert, right, and you see a watch on the desert, and somebody asks you, where did this watch come from? What would you say? Where? A merchant? Okay. What else would you say? Like if somebody asked you, where did this watch come from? Yeah. From the universe? No. If you see a watch, like on the ground, in a desert, where did it come from? Yeah. Somebody made it, right? What if somebody told you, no, actually it's not somebody. The sand, in the desert, the sand, for many, many, many years, it came together and it made this whole watch. Like over years and years and years, it formed this watch. Is this believable? No. Why? Not only it's not scientifically possible, it has design. It has intelligent design, which shows that there must be a designer. Do you understand? It doesn't seem like this watch is random. Like how did it start to have these, hands and these numbers? Where did these come from? Do you understand? If somebody told you, no, over millions and millions of years, these numbers came together and the glass came together, are you going to believe this? Nobody's going to believe this. So the fact that this watch has design shows that there has to be a designer. So this is basically what we're going to focus on today. Does everyone understand what design argument means? That if something has design, there must be a designer. Okay, everybody repeat this. If something has design, it must have a designer. I only hear like these guys. What happened to you guys? Everybody's dead? Let's bring you back to life. If something has design, it must have a designer. Everyone understands this? Okay. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is see if there's design in the universe or not, okay? That's what we're going to do. Can everyone see? Barely? Okay, what we'll try to do is zoom in on this, okay? Is this better? Okay. All right, so we'll just have to zoom in on it. Okay, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran talks about design. Okay, many places in the Quran, Allah talks about design. And before going into these examples, I'll just give you my favorite one. Okay, and try to remember it. Abdurrahman is a hafiz, right? Not a hafiz? How many juz do you know? 16. Okay, who else is doing hifz? Anyone else? Nobody else? Okay. Inshallah, you will all do hifz someday. Inshallah? Everyone wants to be a hafiz? Inshallah. Okay, so if you know the 16th juz, if you're at the 16th juz, then you will know that in juz number 14, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the cattle, like cows and sheep, goats. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَعِبْرَةً, that in cattle, in these animals, there's a lesson for you. What is the lesson? نُسْقِيكُم مِّمَّا فِي بُطُونِهَا. So where do we get milk from? From cows, right? The place where milk comes from, is it a clean place? It's filthy, it's dirty. Where does it come from? Yeah. The factory. The factory doesn't make milk straight up. They take it from cows and then they process it. Yeah, where does milk come from? The udders of the cow, right? Have you ever seen like people milk cows, right? So the udders. These udders, are they clean? Like would you go and like eat this? No, right? It's disgusting. If you cut it, there's blood, and then within the body itself there's poop, there's many other things. Allah is creating pure drinkable milk from there. Do you understand this? In the middle of blood, in the middle of all these impure things, Allah is creating pure drinkable milk. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this. He says, نُسْقِيكُم مِّمَّا فِي بُطُونِهَا مِن بَيْنِ فَرْثٍ وَدَمٍ لَبَنًا خَالِصًا سَائِغًا لِلشَّارِبِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look, something amazing is happening here. Between farth, between poop, and between blood, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing pure milk that is healthy and that is drinkable and that is satisfying for the person drinking it. So this is my favorite design argument. If this cow has design, there must be a designer. Okay? So look, here also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about other places. Inna fi khalqis samawati wal ard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you look at the creation of the skies and the earth, واختلاف الليل والنهار, and the alternation of night and day, والفلك التي تجري في البحر, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions, and look at the boats and how they work in the seas and the oceans, بما ينفع الناس, and it benefits humans. He says, وَمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مِن مَاءٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also sends down rain. فَأَحْيَا بِهِ الْأَرْض. What does rain do? Okay, what happens when you don't have rain? Droughts. What happens when you have droughts? No plants, no crops. And what else? So no nutrition for the animals. So the animals start to die. And then we also don't have food to eat because we're short of crops, we're short of animals. Is this a good place to be in? This is one of the scariest thing on the planet is food scarcity. Like if we ran out of food, right? Imagine that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah is the one that creates this entire system, this entire ecosystem where you guys all did, this basic science. What do you call when clouds form? Okay, evaporation is when the water goes up, right? It evaporates. Condensation, very good, mashallah. You're paying attention in your ecology class maybe? Earth sciences class? Yeah. Okay, what? Biology? Biology? Why do you learn about the rain in biology? Interesting. The biosphere, I guess, yeah. Okay, so evaporation, then you have condensation, and then you have precipitation. Very good, mashallah. Smart kids. Okay, so Allah is talking about this. He says, because of this precipitation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revives the earth. فَأَحْيَا بِهِ الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. Without this water, all these crops would die. He says, مِن كُلِّ دَابَّةٍ. All the animals, they eat from these crops. وَتَصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ وَالسَّحَابِ الْمُسَخَّرِ بَيْنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about all of these different systems that are beneficial for the skies and the earth and the animals. And then if we go down, inshallah, as soon as this projector is fixed, Then we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also talks about the universe and its fine-tuning, how every single thing is fine-tuned. So He says, الَّذِي خَلَقَ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا مَا تَرَى فِي خَلْقِ الرَّحْمَنِ مِنْ تَفَاوُتٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you look at so what are the premises? The premises are the universe and the heavens are free from flaws and inconsistencies. What does this mean? Okay, I'll give you an example. You guys know about the speed of light? What's the speed of light? What's the actual speed of light? Sorry? About 354 million miles per hour. Does anyone know another conversion of this? Yeah. Okay. What? Kilometers per second. Yeah. So that's very good, right? So it's insanely fast. Now, does the speed of light change in different conditions? No. No? Never. It stays the same throughout the entire universe. So this is what we call a constant. Like no matter where you go, this doesn't change. Another example is, does everyone understand the law of gravitation or the law of gravity? What is the law of gravitation? Yeah. Yeah, well, any object with mass, what does it do? What does it do? It bends space-time, but what else does it do? If you have two objects of masses, what happens? Yeah. They attract each other and they gravitate around each other, right? Is this something that we see inconsistency with? It happens everywhere equally in the universe. Yes or no? Now the question is, these laws and these constants, who made these laws? Look, science can tell us how this happens, right? Science can tell us like this law, this is the law of gravitation, right? Science can tell us if you have a larger mass and you have a smaller mass, then the smaller mass will gravitate around the larger mass. We know all this stuff, right? Everyone knows this stuff? You know, like for example, the sun. The other planets in our solar system, they gravitate around the sun. Then we have moons, right? And those moons, or other planets also have moons. They gravitate around the planet. Why? Because they're smaller than the actual planets. Everyone knows this stuff? Raise your hand if you didn't know this. Okay, some of you, just few of you didn't know this, but it's cool because now you know. Now you can go in your science class and you're like, hey, I learned this in the masjid. Right? So look, these constants and these laws, science can tell us how they happen, and science can tell us that they happen. These are the laws, but science cannot tell us why it happens. Or what makes it happen? Like, why is it that these things gravitate around each other? Why? Does it have to be like that? Okay, what would happen if we didn't have the law of gravity on Earth? What would happen? Lots of people have suggestions. Yeah, what do you think? Everyone would just be floating, right? You wouldn't actually have things to, keep us back on Earth, basically. Could we survive in like higher levels of the atmosphere or even outside the atmosphere? Could we survive? The air is too thin, and then once you go outside of the atmosphere, what happens? Then you just die, right? There's no oxygen whatsoever, right? So now this design, yeah, did you have a question? Yeah, you can live in Mars as long as you have like oxygen that you bring there and so on and so forth, right? And I think they might have found like sources of water, and that shows there could be traces of oxygen, and so on and so forth. But you get the idea. My question is, what if you left the atmosphere and you're in outer space? Then you would die, right? If we didn't have the law of gravity, we would be in a lot of trouble. Does that make sense? Okay, everyone understands Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the universe and the heavens are free from flaws and inconsistencies, meaning that they have constants. Allah says, مَا تَرَى فِي خَلْقِ الرَّحْمَنِ مِنْ تَفَاوُتٍ. Tafawut means, in Arabic, tafawut means like highs and lows. Like something is inconsistent with another. In the universe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't see any of this. You see laws, you see constants. You see things that on an atomic level. Okay, you want to know something super cool? You know how you have larger planets, right? And then smaller planets, or they orbit around these larger planets, these larger, celestial, if you can call it celestial bodies. Okay? And in atomic level, the same thing happens. This is crazy. Like, in the atom itself, do you guys know what happens? Like, you have a nucleus, and then what happens around it? You have other particles like electrons. And those electrons, they orbit around the nucleus. So this law of gravitation, it happens at a macro scale, like with planets, right, within the universe, but also at an atomic level, it also happens. Now this design, do you think it just came by random? This intelligent design? Wait, who said yeah? Did somebody say yeah? No, if you feel like yeah, go ahead, say yeah, and then we'll challenge you. Like you can make a case for it. You can make an argument for it. Okay, make your case. Okay, you don't want to make your case? No problem. Okay, so we understand this argument. So the premise number one is the universe and the heavens are free from flaws and inconsistencies. Number two, flawless systems suggest a higher degree of precision and purpose. And precision and purpose require an intelligent designer. Therefore, the universe was created by an intelligent creator. Okay, this is also a really interesting one. Number four. Number four. This is from Surah An-Nahl. Abdurrahman, you're able to recite it? Go ahead. You can't see it, but do you know this surah? Do you know Surah An-Nahl? Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe we'll zoom it for you. Can you see it? Okay, go ahead. وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ. ربك Okay, very good. MashaAllah. What juz are you in your memorization? Okay, last 16. Okay, nice, mashallah. Okay, look. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about An-Nahl. Nahl means the bee. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about this remarkable, complex behavior that bees use for honey production, for hive construction, for their navigation, and so on and so forth. Right? Bees, by the way, when they communicate, they have something called a waggle dance. You guys can YouTube this if you want. For communication, they have a very interesting communication system. Does anyone know, for example, bats? How do bats communicate? Or how do bats, bats are blind, right? Okay, how do bats know if there's people around? Echolocation, right? Which is basically something that we developed like in the last century. Do you guys know about sonar systems? Like, submarines, like any submarine kind of vessel that they had, how they would find out if there's an enemy boat or an enemy ship or an enemy submarine is that they would send a sonar, and then if it bounced back off of something, then they would know that there's something there. This is exactly how bats actually know that there's people around, there's objects around, and so on and so forth, right? So we see similar, very, very high-tech, highly sophisticated systems that bees also use. Okay, so we can say that there's fine-tuning. We can also say that there's design behind it. Everyone understands this? So we see that bees exhibit complex behavior. How do we know this? Allah is saying, وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught the bee, and اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا, that out of mountains make your homes. وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ, and also from trees. We know that bees, they make their own hives. Now, who taught them construction? Who taught them how to make this, these hives? وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ, and that which they raise. ثُمَّ كُلِي, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, then we commanded the bee that go and eat min kulli thamarat. What do bees actually take from the fruits or from flowers? The nectar, what else? Pollen, right? So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْلُكِي سُبُلَ رَبِّكِ ذُلُلًا, and go around in the earth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made easy for you. يَخْرُجُ مِن بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهُ فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ. This is so beautiful. Okay, when these bees, they take the nectar, and then they go to their hives, and they do what they gotta do. What happens from it? What do you get? You get honey. And that honey is something that we enjoy, right? We taste, it's sweet. It's something that has healing properties, right? It's known to be, something that's a laxative. For example, if somebody has stomach issues, honey is known to have these healing properties. Honey also has many other benefits as well. There's studies that show that for an infant child, if you actually give them honey or you give them dates, then this actually desensitizes pain from them, right? It also has basically anti-inflammatory properties as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions all of that in the Quran, yes. SubhanAllah. So this is also another, you guys can look this up, that bees' venom is also used in cancer treatment as well, right? So many things that we see, this complex and purposeful behavior. I mean, look, think of the entire process, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning this in the Quran, that we taught, وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, your sustainer, your Lord is the one that taught the bees to do these things, to construct their hives, to take the nectar, to make the honey. And this is what the honey looks like. There's an entire purposeful design over here. There's a whole complex behavior here. And so again, Allah is saying at the end, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. He says that there is a sign in this for the people that are thinking. If you think, then you will understand these. And again, here you have the water cycle and sustenance, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ أَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَسَلَكَهُ يَنَابِيعَ فِي الْأَرْضِ ثُمَّ يَخْرُجُ بِهِ زَرْعًا مُخْتَلِفًا أَلْوَانُهُ ثُمَّ يَهِيجُ فَتَرَاهُ مُصْفَرًّا ثُمَّ يَجْعَلُهُ حُطَامًا. This is very interesting. The reason why this is interesting, one of the oldest, you can say, things that united societies. Okay, does anyone know in anthropology, early humans, how did they survive? What did they survive on? Yeah. Okay, so how did they used to live, sustenance-wise? Yeah. Hunting. Okay, if you hunt, you need lots and lots of spaces, right? Okay, listen to this carefully. This is really, really, really important. We have to understand how civilization came to where it is today, and understand this ayah through that. So look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning about water, and we'll just see the importance of water sources. So when you hunt, you need large spaces. Why? Because animals are not everywhere. So you need to go look for them, right? You need to hunt the animal, then you need to bring it back. You spend the whole day doing that, then you cook it, then you can have some food, right? Do you know what brought civilizations together? Yeah. What are some of the earliest civilizations? Okay, what brought society together? Yeah, so hunt and gather, but these are smaller groups of people. What brought entire societies together? Yeah? Water sources. So for example, the Nile River. The Nile River. entire groups of people came closer to the Nile River. Then do you guys know about the Indus Valley civilization? Right? So they also got around the Indus Valley. Why? Because there's water there. Water brought people together. Why? Why do you need water? Yeah. For the crops. Okay. If one method of sustaining yourself is that the whole day you spend hunting, sometimes you find the animal, sometimes you don't, you end up hungry, khalas, right? But on the other hand, you have the option to raise crops, and you can make food from that, and that stays for a very, very long time, right? So then lots of people, they came to those areas where there's water and you can raise crops and you can sustain yourself. This also gave people more time, because hunting is time consuming, right? But if you look at agriculture, it doesn't take that much time throughout the day. So people also had time for arts, people also had time for learning, and so on and so forth. So one of the biggest shifts in civilization is exactly this, is that people came around water. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this. He says, أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ أَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَسَلَكَهُ يَنَابِيعَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Right? You have pathways, you have different rivers, you have different ponds, you have different springs, you have different oceans, you have different lakes. And ثُمَّ يَخْرُجُ بِهِ زَرْعًا مُخْتَلِفًا أَلْوَانُهُ. And from there you get many, many different types of crops that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses to feed people. Okay, and I'll just end with this, just because this is related to all of us. Some of you are too young to understand this, some of you are not. So, does anyone know, without getting too graphic, does anyone know what humans are created from? Blood, but like, where does it start? Yeah. From our fathers, right? And basically, we're talking about sperm cells. So basically, from this fluid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ. The humans should look at what they're created from. خُلِقَ مِن مَاءٍ دَافِقٍ. They were created from a fluid that was ejected. So it was fluid, and that fluid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created an entire human being. An entire human being that thinks, an entire human being that talks, an entire human that can, invent. Where did all of this start from? Just from one sperm cell. Just from one cell. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grew this entire system. This is also design. And so these are all, different examples of design arguments that show that there is intelligent design behind the entire universe, and this shows that there must be a designer. Okay, do we understand the argument from intelligent design, inshallah? The intelligent design argument is very simple. That if there is design, if there is complexity, then there's proof that there is a designer. Khalas, it's that simple. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the Quran shows many, 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 many examples of design. Okay, inshallah? So we'll end it here, inshallah. Does anyone have any questions? But I'll just add one more thing. This argument, some atheists, they say that, well, it's all random. Who has ever heard of this? Some people will say, some atheists say, oh, this is all random, right? And they will say that, well, there were many, many failures, like there were millions of failures before one proper human was created. There were many other, there was natural selection, right? There was many other lesser humans or lesser other organisms that were created, and they all failed, and the ones that survived are the good specimens, right? So this is just all nature doing it. What is the problem with that? Yeah. Yeah. There's a better question you can ask. There's a more fundamental question you can ask. Yeah. Right. But any other ideas about what could be more fun? If somebody says that all these things were random, and then there are many, many instances that failed, And the good specimens of the dogs and the cats and the animals and the plants, there are many other failures, and then these are the good ones, and they continue to evolve. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, so they survived. But I'm saying, what's the problem? Like, us, we believe in Allah. How can we respond to this? Okay, I'll give you the answer, yeah? The answer is simple. What causes this mechanism? What causes natural selection? How do these things know that, okay, we failed, so we need to have a better system of adaptation that will allow us to survive? Do you understand? Just cells, but like cells don't have intelligence by themselves to continue to evolve this. Do you understand? A dead thing would not know how to do this. And even if you can say that the first cell that had life, how did life come to be? Do you understand? This whole mechanism of natural selection, this whole mechanism of evolution, who causes this process? Why does natural selection even exist? Do you understand? It could have been that there's just failures and it's just all done. What causes it to evolve and adopt certain characteristics that allow it to survive? And then our response to that would be that it's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Science does not have an explanation for why this happens. So this is again one of those laws and the constants that we see throughout the universe. And this is one of those things you can't explain except if you say that there is a designer that allows these things to happen, these constants and these laws. Okay, if there's any questions, we'll take those inshallah. Yeah. Very, very good question. I love this question. So, what's your name? Sorry? What's your name? Sorry? Suad? Okay. So Suad asked many atheists, they have this question that if there's a God, and that God He's Rahim, He's kind, He's Rahman, He's benevolent, He's gracious, He's omnibenevolent, He's the most kind, right? And also He is omnipotent, He can control all things. And also He's omniscient, He knows everything. Then how are there wars? And how is there cancer? And how are there tsunamis? And how are there natural disasters? So inshallah, we will actually have one entire session on this. So one of our next sessions is something we call the problem of evil. Like, if there's such a good God that can control everything, why isn't everybody just happy? Right? We'll hold it off inshallah. I love your enthusiasm, but if we answer this today, then we won't have a next session. It's a longer, we'll actually go through each one of their premises and deconstruct it inshallah. Yeah. They'll say just it's randomness. But it's weird, they'll say it's randomness, but they also believe in science. Science, if you want science to exist, there cannot be randomness. The whole point of science is that there are constants, there are certain laws, there are certain theories that we have about things that can be replicable, right? If everything was random, then you wouldn't have these constants. So there's an inherent contradiction, and I don't know how they answer that, to be honest. But yeah, the confusion with atheism is that the claim is that I know that there is no God. What's your proof for this? There's no proof. Yeah. Sorry? How long was this halaqah? About 50-ish minutes. Or 45 minutes. Okay, any other questions? Other than the timing? Okay, inshallah. If you don't have questions, then we can go and have food, inshallah. And I'll be around, and if people have more questions, inshallah, you can come hang out. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Guys, get back to your seat. Come on. What? All right, guys, get back to your seat. Everybody back to your seat.
I'll be here.
We're just going to chill upstairs until Aisha Salat, and then we're going to go down and eat.
Eat?
30 minutes. Can we go outside?
Bro, we already eat. We're already eat chicken tender. So you shut
All right, you guys go back.
The food is after Isha? Yes. Is it biryani? Is it biryani?
So inshallah, I hope you guys learn a lot from this, and we would like to thank Mufti Tofael for his time and for being here. And inshallah, you guys have any questions, remember it for the next upcoming lecture, inshallah. Jazakumullah.